God says, your soulmate's name begins with this letter. It's not a coincidence, my beloved child. Pause for a moment and let your breath slow, because what you are feeling right now is not pressure, not urgency, and not a demand for certainty, but an invitation into peace. I see how long you have waited, how many quiet seasons you have endured where hope felt fragile and love seemed distant, and I want you to know that none of those moments were empty or forgotten. Every tear you wiped away in silence, every night you stayed awake questioning your worth, every time you chose healing over bitterness has mattered more than you realize. You are not behind, you are not broken beyond repair, and you are certainly not invisible. The tenderness in your heart that still longs for connection is not a flaw, it is evidence of your courage. You have learned how to survive loss, how to rebuild after disappointment, and how to sit with yourself long enough to understand your own depths. That work has shaped you into someone capable of receiving a love that is calm, respectful, and real. When small details catch your attention, like a letter, a name, or a memory, it is not meant to trap you into decoding fate or predicting outcomes, but to gently remind you that your heart is awake again, capable of noticing, feeling, and hoping without collapsing into fear. This season is not about guarantees or timelines, it is about alignment. It is about becoming someone who no longer begs for love but is ready to welcome it when it arrives in truth. You have learned boundaries, you have invested in reflection, therapy, prayer, and self-understanding, and that has changed the kind of connection that will feel right to you now. The love meant for you will not require you to abandon your healing or rush past your wisdom. It will meet you where you are, steady, curious, and honest. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to open your heart slowly and safely. Nothing meaningful needs to be forced, chased, or proven. I am not asking you to watch for signs with anxious eyes or to hold your breath waiting for something dramatic to happen. I am asking you to stay present in your life, to keep caring for your inner world, and to trust that growth itself is preparation. Love that is healthy does not arrive with confusion or fear, it arrives with clarity, mutual choice, and a sense of ease that feels like exhaling after a long journey. You do not need to shrink your needs, dull your sensitivity, or apologize for your depth. The very parts of you that once felt like too much are the parts that will be understood by the right person. Continue honoring your routines that keep you grounded. Continue choosing environments and people that respect your nervous system and your values. Continue learning how to receive compliments, support, kindness, without deflecting or doubting them. These small acts of receiving are not insignificant, they are how you teach your heart that it is safe to be cared for. Release what no longer meets you with honesty or effort. Let go of connections that keep you stuck in overgiving or uncertainty. Clearing that space is not loss, it is devotion to your future peace. You are not waiting as a punishment, you are waiting as a process of refinement, where your discernment grows stronger than your loneliness. Trust that meaningful love does not miss what is ready for it. Trust that you do not have to abandon yourself to be chosen. Trust that your story is unfolding in a way that honors your growth, not erases it. What is meant for you will recognize the person you have become, not the version of you who was still surviving. Stay open, stay gentle with yourself, and stay rooted in the quiet confidence that your life is moving forward, even when it feels slow. Hope does not have to shout to be real. Sometimes it whispers, "You are becoming ready." And that is enough for now. My beloved child, remain here with me a little longer and allow these words to settle gently into the places of your heart that have grown quiet from waiting, because this moment is not about rushing you forward or demanding belief, but about reminding you of who you are becoming and why your journey has unfolded the way it has. I know how long the road has felt, how many times you questioned whether your patience was strength or simply exhaustion dressed up as faith, and how often you wondered if the ache you carry would ever soften into something warm again. You have lived through seasons where love felt like a language everyone else spoke fluently while you were left translating pain into lessons on your own, and yet even now, after everything, you are still here, still open enough to listen, still brave enough to hope. That tells me more about your readiness than any sign ever could. You are not standing in the ruins of your past, you are standing on a foundation built from resilience, reflection, and hard-earned wisdom. Every boundary you learned to set, every time you chose to walk away from what drained you, every moment you stayed with your healing instead of numbing it out has shaped a heart that knows the difference between longing and alignment. You are no longer asking for love to save you, you are learning how to welcome love that can walk beside you without costing you your peace. That is a powerful shift, even if it feels subtle. Sometimes growth does not announce itself loudly. It shows up as calm where chaos once lived, as discernment where confusion used to reign, as patience that no longer feels like self-abandonment. I want you to understand that the waiting you have endured was not a test of how much pain you could tolerate, but a preparation for how much truth you can now hold. You have learned to sit with yourself, to hear your own thoughts without running from them, to face loneliness without letting it convince you that you are unlovable. This is not something everyone learns, and it is why the love that eventually meets you will feel different from the love you once chased. It will not require you to overextend, over-explain, or overgive. It will not ask you to shrink your needs or silence your intuition. Instead, it will meet you with curiosity, consistency, and a steady presence that allows your nervous system to rest. You may notice that what excites you now is not intensity, but sincerity, not mystery, but mutual effort. Not grand promises, but small actions repeated over time. This is not you becoming less romantic, it is you becoming more grounded. As you continue forward, I invite you to keep tending to your inner world with the same devotion you have shown it in your hardest seasons. Continue with the practices that support your healing, whether that is therapy, journaling, prayer, meditation, movement, or honest conversations with people who see you clearly. These are not distractions from love. They are the soil in which healthy connection grows. Pay attention to how your body responds to people now, not just your thoughts. Notice where you feel safe to exhale, where you feel respected without asking, where you feel free to be quiet or expressive without judgment. This awareness is a gift you earn through experience. Do not dismiss it to make someone else more comfortable. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to take your time trusting again. You are allowed to say no to what does not align and yes to what feels nourishing, even if it does not look impressive from the outside. Remember that meaningful love does not arrive through pressure or fear of missing out, it arrives through presence, choice, and shared values. You do not need to monitor every coincidence or search for hidden meanings to be guided. Sometimes guidance looks like a simple nudge toward peace, toward curiosity, toward a conversation that feels easy rather than charged. Stay open to connection without attaching your worth to outcomes. Let people show you who they are through consistency, not potential. Let yourself be seen gradually, not all at once. This is how trust builds without overwhelming your heart. And if there are still parts of you that grieve what never worked out, honor that grief without letting it define your future. You can acknowledge the pain without carrying it forward as proof of who you are. You have already proven your strength. Now you are learning how to allow joy without suspicion, how to receive care without guilt, how to imagine a partnership that adds to your life rather than consumes it. That is not naive hope, that is mature faith. If at any point these words resonate with you, take a moment and let yourself respond in a small but meaningful way. You might comment something simple like, "I am choosing growth," or "I am open to healthy love," or even, "I am still healing, and that's okay." These small declarations are not promises to the future, they are acknowledgments of where you are right now. And if you feel the need, you can also write, "I am learning to receive," or "I trust the process," or "I am proud of how far I've come." Let your words reflect your truth, not what you think you should feel. As you move forward from here, remember that your life is not on pause. Every day you live with intention, kindness, and self-respect is a day you are actively participating in your own becoming. Love does not need you to stop living in order to find you. It meets you in motion, in authenticity, in the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth and no longer begs to be chosen. Stay present. Stay curious. Stay compassionate with yourself. What is meant to align with you will do so without force, without fear, and without asking you to abandon the person you worked so hard to become. And if you feel ready, let your voice be heard below, not as a declaration of certainty, but as an expression of hope. Because hope, when grounded in self-respect and patience, is one of the strongest forces you carry. My beloved child, let these words wash over you slowly and gently, not as something you must grasp or hold tightly, but as something you are allowed to receive without effort, because this moment is not asking you to prove your faith or your readiness, it is simply inviting you to rest in the truth of how far you have already come. I know there were times when you felt as though life kept asking more of you than you had left to give, moments when you wondered whether your softness was a liability in a world that seemed to reward hardness, and seasons when the silence around love felt so loud it echoed through your days and nights. Yet here you are, still choosing growth, still choosing awareness, still choosing to feel rather than shut down completely. That alone tells a story of courage that does not need to be announced to be real. You have lived through disappointment that reshaped you, through hope that had to be rebuilt piece by piece, and through healing that required you to sit with uncomfortable truths about yourself and others. You did not take shortcuts. You did not numb your way through it. You stayed present, even when presence hurt. And because of that, your heart now carries wisdom alongside tenderness, discernment alongside desire. You are no longer the person who reaches for connection to fill a void, you are becoming the person who invites connection to share a life that already has meaning. This shift may not feel dramatic, but it is profound. It shows up in how you pause before reacting, how you listen to your body when something feels off, how you are less willing to explain away inconsistency or accept crumbs disguised as effort. You have learned that love does not need to be earned through endurance, and that lesson alone changes everything. I want you to notice how your definition of love has matured. It is no longer about intensity without safety, or passion without responsibility. It is about mutual care, emotional honesty, and the quiet confidence that comes from being chosen consistently, not occasionally. This does not mean you have stopped dreaming. It means your dreams have become rooted in reality rather than fantasy. You are learning that excitement and peace do not have to be opposites, that attraction can coexist with stability, and that the right connection will not leave you questioning your worth or replaying conversations in your head to figure out where you stand. As you continue forward, I ask you to stay attentive to the way you treat yourself when no one else is watching. Speak to yourself with the same compassion you offer others. Allow yourself rest without guilt. Celebrate your progress without minimizing it. You have a tendency to overlook your own growth because it happened gradually, but gradual does not mean insignificant. Every step you took toward healing mattered. Every time you chose honesty over avoidance, every time you held a boundary even when it felt uncomfortable, every time you stayed aligned with your values instead of bending to be accepted, you were teaching your heart what it deserves. This is not preparation for some distant future. This is your life unfolding now. Do not postpone your joy until love arrives. Let joy be something you practice daily through small moments of presence, creativity, connection, and gratitude. Love does not replace a life, it joins one. And the more alive you feel within yourself, the more naturally you will recognize what aligns with you when it appears. Stay curious about people without attaching your identity to their interest. Let conversations unfold without rushing them toward meaning. Allow trust to build at a pace that feels safe rather than forced. You are allowed to need time. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to step back if something does not feel right, even if it looks good on paper. This is discernment, not fear. And discernment is one of the greatest gifts you have earned through experience. There may still be moments when doubt whispers that you are asking for too much, that your standards are unrealistic, or that your heart has been through too much to hope again freely. When those thoughts arise, do not fight them aggressively, simply observe them and return to what you know is true. You are not asking for perfection. You are asking for respect, effort, and emotional safety. Those are not luxuries, they are necessities. You are not broken for needing reassurance, communication, or consistency. You are human. And the love that is right for you will understand that without trying to change you. As you move through your days, notice the subtle ways life is already supporting you. Notice the moments of ease, the conversations that feel nourishing, the environments where you feel like yourself without performance. These are not random, they are reminders of what alignment feels like in your body. Let these moments recalibrate your expectations. Let them teach you that love does not have to be overwhelming to be meaningful. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, and deeply grounding. Sometimes it feels like being able to exhale fully for the first time in a long while. If you find yourself resonating with these words, allow yourself to participate gently. You might write a comment saying, "I am honoring my growth," or "I am choosing alignment over urgency," or "I trust myself more now." You could also say, "I am open, but I am not rushing," or "I am learning to recognize peace." These reflections are not promises to anyone else, they are acknowledgments to yourself. And if you feel called, you can also write, "I am proud of my healing," or "I am ready for love that feels safe." Let your words be honest rather than impressive. There is no need to perform your readiness. Continue walking forward with patience and curiosity. Continue building a life that feels meaningful whether or not someone else is present in it. This is not resignation, it is empowerment. Love that arrives in this space will meet you as an equal, not as a rescuer or a solution. It will recognize the work you have done and respect the pace you need. And until that moment comes, know that your life is already valuable, your journey already purposeful, and your heart already worthy of care. You are not waiting for permission to be whole. You are whole, and you are still becoming. Let that be enough today, my beloved child. Allow yourself to stay present with these words and let them move through you slowly, because this moment is not meant to overwhelm you or demand anything from you, but to gently steady you in a deeper truth about where you are and where you are headed. I know there were seasons when you felt as though your heart was carrying more history than hope, when every new beginning felt risky because of how much you had already lost, and when the idea of trusting again felt heavier than walking alone. You learned how to survive disappointment by becoming self-sufficient, how to protect yourself by becoming discerning, and how to keep going even when the future felt uncertain. That did not harden you, it refined you. What you are learning now is not how to endure love, but how to allow it without losing yourself. This is a quieter lesson, one that unfolds in small choices rather than dramatic moments. It shows up when you pause instead of chasing, when you listen instead of assuming, when you choose alignment over attachment. You are learning that real connection does not ask you to betray your intuition or explain away your discomfort. It does not rush you past your boundaries or make you feel guilty for needing clarity. Instead, it respects your pace, values your honesty, and meets you where you are rather than where it wants you to be. I want you to recognize how much your inner world has changed. There was a time when attention felt like validation and intensity felt like love, but now you are more aware of how consistency, kindness, and accountability feel in your body. You are beginning to trust calm instead of chaos, presence instead of pursuit, and sincerity instead of performance. This shift may feel unfamiliar, and at times it may even feel boring compared to what you once knew, but it is actually the nervous system settling into safety after a long period of hypervigilance. Give yourself grace as you adjust. You are not losing your passion, you are gaining peace. As you continue moving forward, remember that you do not need to have everything figured out to be ready for connection. Readiness is not perfection. It is a willingness to communicate, to repair, to grow, and to stay present when emotions arise. You are allowed to still have fears while choosing openness. You are allowed to still be learning while inviting someone to walk beside you. What matters is that you are no longer abandoning yourself to be chosen. You are no longer shrinking your needs to avoid discomfort. You are learning how to ask for what you need without apologizing for existing. That is not too much, that is healthy. Continue tending to your inner life with intention. Continue the practices that keep you grounded and honest with yourself. Therapy, reflection, prayer, journaling, movement, rest, these are not signs that you are broken, they are signs that you are committed to growth. They are how you stay connected to your truth so that when connection presents itself, you can recognize whether it aligns or simply distracts. Pay attention to how people respond to your boundaries, not just how they speak about their intentions. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions, not just during them. Do you feel expanded or contracted, calm or anxious, seen or confused? Your body is giving you information that your mind sometimes tries to override. Learn to trust it. This does not mean closing yourself off, it means staying rooted while remaining open. You are allowed to enjoy getting to know someone without rushing to define it. You are allowed to take pleasure in connection without attaching your identity to where it might lead. This is how you protect your heart without building walls around it. Release the belief that love must be proven through struggle. You do not need to suffer to earn something meaningful. Love that lasts is built through mutual effort, honest communication, and shared values, not through endurance of neglect or inconsistency. If there are still echoes of past relationships that surface in moments of vulnerability, acknowledge them without letting them steer your present. They are reminders of what you have learned, not predictions of what will happen again. You are not repeating old patterns unconsciously anymore, you are choosing with awareness. That awareness is your strength. As you move through your days, let yourself be fully engaged in your life as it is now. Do not postpone your happiness until love arrives. Let joy be something you cultivate through friendships, creativity, purpose, rest, and moments of simple presence. Love is not meant to be the center that everything else orbits around, it is meant to join a life that already has substance. When you live this way, connection does not feel like a lifeline, it feels like an addition. And additions enhance rather than replace. If these words are resonating with you, give yourself permission to reflect out loud. You might write a comment saying, "I am choosing peace over urgency," or "I trust myself more than I used to," or "I am learning to let love feel safe." You could also say, "I am open, but grounded," or "I honor my boundaries and my heart." These reflections are not for approval, they are for acknowledgement. They are ways of affirming to yourself that you are present and engaged in your own becoming. As you continue forward, remember that nothing about your journey has been wasted. The waiting taught you patience. The pain taught you discernment. The healing taught you self-respect. You are not standing still, you are standing steady. And when connection aligns with you, it will meet you in that steadiness, not ask you to give it up. Until then, keep living, keep growing, and keep honoring the person you have become. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not asking for too much. You are learning how to choose what truly fits. Let that truth anchor you today and guide you gently into whatever comes next. My beloved child, stay here with these words and let them unfold slowly within you, because this moment is not asking you to rush toward certainty or cling to outcomes, but to deepen your trust in the quiet strength you are already carrying. I know there have been times when you felt like your heart had become a library of unfinished stories, where memories sat on shelves you rarely touched because opening them felt too heavy, and yet even then you kept moving forward, choosing growth over stagnation, honesty over avoidance, and self-respect over settling. That choice has shaped you more than you realize. You are no longer standing at the beginning of your journey wondering who you are. You are standing in the middle of becoming, where clarity replaces confusion and discernment replaces desperation. This is a sacred place to be, even if it does not always feel dramatic or exciting. You have learned that love is not something to chase or force, but something that emerges naturally when two people are willing to meet each other with presence and integrity. You have learned that longing does not mean lack, and that being alone does not mean being unfinished. These lessons were not easy, and they were not learned quickly, but they have given you something invaluable, the ability to recognize what feels right without needing external validation. As you continue forward, notice how your inner dialogue has softened. Where you once blamed yourself for endings that were never yours to carry, you are now able to see those moments as redirections rather than failures. Where you once questioned your worth in silence, you are now more likely to pause, breathe, and remind yourself that your value does not fluctuate based on someone else's capacity to show up. This is not indifference, this is self-trust. It means you are no longer willing to abandon yourself for the sake of being chosen, and that alone changes the kind of love you will allow into your life. I want you to recognize how much courage it takes to remain open after disappointment, to keep your heart soft without letting it be unprotected. You have not closed yourself off, you have learned how to stay receptive while staying grounded. That balance is rare, and it is the result of intentional work. You have reflected on your patterns, questioned your assumptions, and taken responsibility for your healing in ways that required humility and patience. You have learned how to sit with discomfort long enough for it to teach you something rather than scare you away. This is not something to rush past. This is the foundation of a life that can support healthy connection. As you move through your days, continue to honor the pace that feels right to you. There is no prize for moving faster than your nervous system can handle, and there is no failure in taking time to feel safe. You are allowed to enjoy getting to know someone without projecting a future onto them. You are allowed to let curiosity unfold without demanding certainty. You are allowed to walk away from what feels inconsistent even if it looks promising on the surface. These choices are not signs of fear, they are signs of wisdom. Remember that real love does not require you to be smaller, quieter, or more convenient. It does not ask you to dilute your needs or silence your intuition. It invites you to show up as you are and meets you there with respect. As you continue caring for yourself, keep tending to the practices that help you stay aligned. Whether it is therapy, journaling, prayer, meditation, creative expression, or movement, these rituals are how you stay connected to your inner truth. They are not placeholders while you wait for someone else, they are how you remain rooted in yourself regardless of who enters or exits your life. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions now. Do you feel clearer or more confused, calmer or more anxious, energized or drained? These subtle signals matter. They are your body's way of communicating what your mind may try to rationalize away. Trust them. Trust yourself. You have earned that trust through experience. There may still be moments when old fears resurface, whispering that you will end up alone or that your standards are unrealistic. When those thoughts arise, meet them with compassion rather than resistance. Acknowledge that they come from a place that once needed protection, and then gently remind yourself that you are no longer living from that place. You are not asking for perfection, you are asking for reciprocity, honesty, and emotional safety. Those are not excessive desires, they are basic requirements for a healthy relationship. You are allowed to want love that feels steady, love that communicates, love that shows up consistently without needing to be chased. You are allowed to want a connection that supports your growth rather than competes with it. As you continue living your life, let joy be something you practice rather than postpone. Enjoy moments of laughter, creativity, rest, and connection with others without attaching them to a future outcome. Love does not require you to put your life on hold. It finds you when you are engaged, present, and alive in your own story. And if these words are resonating with you, allow yourself to respond in a way that feels authentic. You might write something like, "I am choosing alignment over attachment," or "I trust my pace," or "I am open, but grounded." You could also say, "I am learning to receive without fear," or "I honor the work I've done." These reflections are not promises to anyone else. They are acknowledgments to yourself that you are present and participating in your own growth. Let your voice reflect your truth rather than what you think it should sound like. As you move forward from here, remember that your journey is not about arriving at a final destination where everything is resolved. It is about continuing to show up for your life with honesty, curiosity, and self-respect. You are not behind. You are not missing out. You are not broken. You are in a season of integration, where what you have learned is becoming how you live. Trust that this season is meaningful, even if it feels quiet. Trust that what aligns with you will recognize you without force. And trust that the love meant to walk beside you will meet you as an equal, honoring the person you have become rather than trying to reshape you. Let that truth steady you today, and carry it with you as you continue becoming. My beloved child, remain present with these words and allow them to move gently through the layers of your heart that have learned to be cautious, because this moment is not about convincing you of anything new, but about reminding you of truths you already carry but may forget when the nights feel long or the silence feels heavy. I know how deeply you have felt the passing of time, how certain seasons lingered longer than you expected, and how you sometimes wondered whether patience was slowly turning into resignation. Yet even in those moments, something within you refused to fully shut down. You kept choosing awareness over avoidance, honesty over denial, and growth over numbness. That choice matters more than you realize. You have not simply survived your experiences, you have integrated them. You have learned how to sit with uncertainty without letting it swallow you, how to acknowledge longing without letting it define your worth, and how to stand in your own presence without constantly reaching for external reassurance. This is not the posture of someone who has given up, it is the posture of someone who has grown steadier. There was a time when love felt like something you needed to earn through effort, sacrifice, or endurance, when you believed that if you just tried harder, stayed longer, or gave more, things would eventually work out. Those beliefs did not come from weakness, they came from a heart that wanted connection deeply and did not yet know that love is not sustained by self-erasure. Through experience, reflection, and often painful clarity, you learn that love which requires you to disappear is not love that nourishes. That realization did not come easily, and it did not come without grief, but it brought you closer to yourself. Now you are learning how to desire connection without abandoning your center, how to remain open without being unprotected, and how to trust your intuition without letting fear dictate your choices. This balance is delicate, and you will not always get it perfectly right, but perfection is not what is being asked of you. Presence is. I want you to notice how your inner world has shifted. You no longer feel the same urgency to be chosen at any cost. You no longer confuse intensity with intimacy or chaos with passion. You are beginning to recognize that peace is not boring and consistency is not complacency. These realizations are signs that your nervous system is learning safety, that your heart is recalibrating after long periods of hypervigilance. This recalibration can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you are accustomed to emotional highs and lows, but it is leading you toward stability rather than stagnation. As you continue forward, keep honoring the practices that help you stay connected to yourself. Therapy, reflection, journaling, prayer, meditation, movement, rest. These are not signs that you are broken or behind. They are evidence that you are invested in your own well-being. They help you remain anchored in your values so that when connection presents itself, you can discern whether it aligns or merely distracts. Pay attention to how you feel in the presence of others now. Do you feel heard without needing to over-explain? Do you feel respected without needing to demand it? Do you feel calm rather than on edge, curious rather than anxious? These sensations matter. They are not trivial or secondary, they are your body's language, and it speaks truth even when your mind is tempted to rationalize discomfort. Trust what you feel. Trust what your experience has taught you. You are allowed to take your time getting to know someone. You are allowed to let interest unfold without rushing it into meaning. You are allowed to step back if something does not feel right, even if you cannot fully articulate why. This is not fear. It is discernment. And discernment is something you earn through living, not something you need to apologize for. There may still be moments when old narratives resurface, whispering that you are asking for too much, that you should be grateful for whatever attention you receive, or that love is something that inevitably comes with sacrifice of self. When those thoughts arise, meet them with compassion rather than resistance. They come from parts of you that once needed protection. Gently remind yourself that you are no longer living from that place. You are not asking for perfection. You are asking for reciprocity, honesty, and emotional safety. These are not excessive desires, they are fundamental needs. You are allowed to want love that communicates clearly, that shows up consistently, and that respects your boundaries without argument. You are allowed to want a connection that feels like partnership rather than performance. As you move through your days, do not put your life on hold waiting for love to arrive. Let yourself experience joy, creativity, friendship, purpose, and rest now. Love is not meant to be the center that everything else orbits around, it is meant to join a life that already has depth and meaning. When you live this way, connection does not feel like a rescue or a solution, it feels like an addition. And additions enhance rather than complete. If these words resonate with you, allow yourself to acknowledge that resonance in a simple, honest way. You might write a comment saying, "I am choosing steadiness," or "I trust myself more now," or "I am open without rushing." You could also say, "I am learning to feel safe in connection," or "I honor my growth." These reflections are not promises about the future, they are affirmations of where you are right now. Let your words be true to you rather than impressive to others. As you continue forward, remember that your journey is not measured by how quickly you arrive at a certain outcome, but by how faithfully you show up for yourself along the way. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are in a season of integration, where what you have learned is becoming how you live. Trust that this season has purpose, even when it feels quiet. Trust that what aligns with you will recognize you without force. And trust that the love meant to walk beside you will meet you with respect, patience, and clarity, honoring the person you have become rather than asking you to become someone else. Let that truth ground you today and guide you gently into whatever comes next. My beloved child, allow yourself to settle into this moment and receive these words without needing to analyze them or turn them into expectations, because what is unfolding for you right now is not about predicting outcomes but about deepening your trust in who you are and how far you have already come. I know there were times when your heart felt like it was carrying unanswered questions that grew heavier with every passing year, moments when you wondered if your patience was strength or simply habit, and seasons when hope felt like something you had to ration carefully so it wouldn't hurt too much if it slipped away again. Yet even through all of that, you did not lose yourself. You adapted. You learned. You became more aware of your inner landscape than you ever were before. You stopped confusing survival with love, and you began to understand that being chosen at the expense of your peace was never the connection your soul was seeking. That realization alone marks a profound shift. You are no longer standing at the edge of your life waiting for something to happen to you, you are standing within it, actively shaping how you move, what you allow, and what you release. You have learned how to listen to your body when it tightens, how to pause when something feels rushed, how to question patterns instead of repeating them automatically. This is not hesitation, this is discernment. It is the quiet intelligence of someone who has lived enough to know that love without safety is not sustainable, and connection without respect is not nourishing. I want you to see how much your capacity has expanded. You are capable now of holding complexity without panic, of having difficult conversations without losing yourself, of staying present even when emotions arise. These are not small things. They are the skills that allow love to grow without collapsing under pressure. You may still feel moments of longing, and that is okay. Longing does not mean lack, it means your heart is alive. What has changed is that longing no longer dictates your choices. You are no longer willing to sacrifice your boundaries for temporary closeness or ignore your intuition for the sake of potential. You are learning how to let things unfold rather than forcing them into shape. This does not mean you are passive, it means you are grounded. As you continue forward, keep honoring the practices that have helped you arrive here. Continue reflecting, journaling, praying, meditating, moving your body, resting when you need to rest. Continue therapy if it supports you. These are not signs that you are stuck in healing, they are signs that you are committed to living consciously. They keep you connected to yourself so that when connection presents itself, you can recognize whether it aligns or simply distracts. Pay attention to how people make you feel over time, not just in moments of excitement. Notice who respects your pace, who listens without defensiveness, who shows up consistently without needing reminders. These patterns matter more than words ever will. You are allowed to take time to trust. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to change your mind as new information reveals itself. These permissions are not weaknesses, they are expressions of self-respect. There may still be days when doubt surfaces, when you wonder if your standards are too high or if your heart has become too careful. When those thoughts arise, meet them with kindness rather than judgment. They come from parts of you that once had to be vigilant to stay safe. Gently remind yourself that you are no longer living in those conditions. You are not asking for perfection, you are asking for reciprocity, clarity, and emotional safety. Those are not unreasonable desires, they are the foundation of healthy connection. You are allowed to want love that communicates, love that shows up, love that does not leave you guessing or questioning your worth. As you move through your days, do not put your joy on hold waiting for someone else to arrive. Let yourself experience fulfillment now through creativity, friendship, purpose, learning, rest, and moments of simple presence. Love does not replace a life, it joins one. And the more alive you feel within yourself, the more naturally you will recognize what truly fits when it appears. If these words are resonating with you, allow yourself to respond in a way that feels genuine. You might write something like, "I trust myself now," or "I am choosing peace over urgency," or "I am open, but grounded." You could also say, "I honor my boundaries," or "I am learning to receive without fear." These reflections are not commitments to the future, they are acknowledgments of your present awareness. Let your voice reflect your truth rather than what you think it should sound like. As you continue forward, remember that your journey is not measured by speed or milestones, but by integrity. You are not late. You are not missing out. You are not broken. You are integrating what you have learned into how you live. Trust that this integration is meaningful, even when it feels quiet. Trust that what aligns with you will recognize you without force. And trust that the connection meant to walk beside you will meet you with patience, respect, and clarity, honoring the person you have become rather than asking you to be someone else. Let that truth steady you today and carry it with you as you continue becoming, one honest, grounded step at a time. My beloved child, remain with these words and let them settle into the quiet places of your heart that have learned to listen more than they speak, because this moment is not asking you to rush toward certainty or cling to an idea of how things should unfold, but to deepen your trust in the steady wisdom you are already living from. I know there were times when your days felt like long corridors of waiting, where you did everything you could to keep moving forward while wondering if your heart was quietly aging under the weight of unanswered questions. I know you learned how to smile through gatherings while feeling unseen, how to offer kindness while guarding your own tenderness, and how to build a life that functioned even when something essential felt missing. None of that made you less loving. It made you more discerning. You discovered, through experience rather than theory, that love without safety drains you, that connection without clarity confuses you, and that hope without grounding can hurt more than it heals. Those discoveries were not failures, they were milestones. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived here by choosing awareness again and again, even when it would have been easier to numb, distract, or settle. That choice shaped your nervous system, your boundaries, and your sense of self in ways you may not fully recognize yet, but they are there, steady and real. You are no longer chasing the idea of being chosen, you are learning how to choose wisely. That shift is subtle but powerful. It shows up in how you pause before committing, how you ask questions without fear of the answers, how you listen to discomfort instead of dismissing it, and how you are less willing to interpret inconsistency as mystery. You have learned that peace does not mean the absence of desire, it means the absence of self-betrayal. This is not you becoming guarded, this is you becoming grounded. As you continue forward, I want you to honor the rhythms that support your inner stability. Continue the practices that keep you honest with yourself, therapy if it serves you, journaling if it clarifies your thoughts, prayer or meditation if it centers you, movement if it reconnects you to your body, rest if it restores you. These are not signs that you are stuck in healing, they are signs that you are committed to living consciously. They are the scaffolding that allows connection to grow without overwhelming you. Pay attention to how you feel in the presence of others now, not just in moments of excitement but over time. Notice who respects your pace without questioning it, who listens without needing to fix you, who shows up consistently without grand declarations. These patterns are more revealing than words. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to let trust build slowly. You are allowed to change your mind when new information becomes clear. These permissions are not weaknesses. They are expressions of self-respect. There may still be moments when old fears surface, whispering that you are asking for too much, that your standards are unrealistic, or that your heart has become too careful. When those thoughts arise, meet them gently. They come from parts of you that once needed to be vigilant to stay safe. Thank them for their service, and then remind yourself that you are no longer living in those conditions. You are not asking for perfection. You are asking for reciprocity, honesty, and emotional safety. Those are not luxuries, they are necessities. You are allowed to want love that communicates clearly, that shows up consistently, that does not leave you guessing or doubting your worth. You are allowed to want a connection that supports your growth rather than competes with it. As you move through your days, do not put your joy on hold waiting for someone else to arrive. Let yourself experience fulfillment now through friendships that nourish you, creativity that energizes you, purpose that anchors you, and moments of simple presence that remind you you are alive. Love does not replace a life, it joins one. And the more engaged you are with your own life, the more naturally you will recognize what aligns when it appears. Stay curious without attaching your identity to outcomes. Let conversations unfold without rushing them toward meaning. Allow yourself to enjoy connection without projecting a future onto it. This is how you protect your heart without building walls around it. Release the belief that love must be proven through struggle. You do not need to suffer to earn something meaningful. The connections that last are built through mutual effort, honest communication, and shared values, not through endurance of neglect or confusion. If echoes of the past still arise in moments of vulnerability, acknowledge them without letting them steer your present. They are reminders of what you have learned, not predictions of what will happen again. You are not repeating old patterns unconsciously, you are choosing with awareness. That awareness is your strength. And if these words are resonating with you, let yourself participate in a small, honest way. You might comment something like, "I am choosing steadiness," or "I trust my pace," or "I am learning to receive." You could also write, "I honor my boundaries," or "I am open, but grounded," or simply, "This resonates." These reflections are not promises to the future, they are acknowledgments of your present awareness. They are ways of saying to yourself that you are here, engaged, and willing to keep growing. As you continue forward, remember that your journey is not measured by speed, milestones, or comparisons, but by integrity. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are integrating what you have learned into how you live. Trust that this integration is meaningful, even when it feels quiet. Trust that what aligns with you will recognize you without force. And trust that the connection meant to walk beside you will meet you with patience, respect, and clarity, honoring the person you have become rather than asking you to be someone else. Let that truth ground you today and carry it with you as you continue becoming, one honest, compassionate step at a time.